Bonjour, this is Mr. Kays, and this is 21.2b. 21.2b. We looked at the beginning of France's absolutism, and we're going to see it culminate with the absolute monarch being Louis XIV. Louis XIV, you can put down, he was the greatest French absolute king. Greatest French absolute king. And he strengthens the monarchy. Strengthens the monarchy. All right. To give you an idea about this guy, look at this French phrase, l'étage c'est moi. L'étage c'est moi. It means, I am the state. It's a famous utterance of Louis. Louis was so caught up in himself, he believed that he was the ultimate power. God put him on the throne. He'll take him out until such time as that happens. Shut up and obey him. L'étage, c'est moi. I am the state. When I get up in the morning, France starts its day. When I retire, France goes to bed. Man, this guy has a swelled head. But I will give him some props. He did strengthen the monarchy. Now, Louis begins to rule at the ripe old age of 5. His parents are gone, and what 5-year-old can make a great set of decisions? So they gave him an advisor, Cardinal Mazarin. He was an older French bishop or cardinal. Cardinal Mazarin, he rules for Louis, and he ends 30 years of war. Cardinal Mazarin rules for Louis. He ends 30 years of war, but he does raise taxes, and that's not going to make him popular. Cardinal Mazarin at times had people that openly hated him, and they openly hated Louis. Well, Louis is like a preteen or an early teen, and as he faces angry threats by nobles and people, it kind of scared him, but it never left his mind, and he made a decision. I am never going to be at the mercy of anyone, especially the nobles. So when Cardinal Mazarin dies, Louis is going to take control and rule by himself. Louis weakens the nobles by excluding them from his meetings. Louis weakens the nobles by excluding them from his meetings. Louis begins ruling at age 23. That's pretty young. And he chooses not to have any advisors, so he rules by himself. So he's going to cut the power of the nobles by excluding some of them from his councils or his meetings. He also does not use the nobles as tax collectors. He uses intendants. Take a look at that word, intendants. They're government agents who collect taxes and administer justice. They collect taxes and they administer justice. And they're not nobles. They're middle-class folk. So really, Louis is cutting the power of the nobles off at their ankles. In addition, Louis makes sure that no nobles live in castles with walls. I know Cardinal Richelieu had started that. Well, he makes sure that if he wants to get to nobles, he's going to do it. So he makes these laws that kind of cut the power of the nobles. As far as economic growth, he did have a finance minister by the name of Jean-Baptiste Colbert. Jean-Baptiste Colbert. He's Louis's finance minister. He'd be almost like Secretary of the Treasury in the United States. Now, Colbert was a fan of the policy of mercantilism. It's the policy of a nation increasing wealth and power by obtaining gold and silver, and selling more goods than they bought. Now, in the concept of mercantilism, you also need to put down colonies are important. Under Colbert, France did gain in wealth because they sent quite a few Frenchmen over to Canada and North America to engage in the fur trade. So France did bring back a lot of fur and created a lot of wealth with that. Louis's grand style. Every meal was you could put down every meal was an event. He had, I would say about 500 people on the average sitting down to dinner with him every meal. Now, who are these folks? Well, some of his family. He required the nobles to live with him at the Palace of Versailles, and it's not uncommon for Louis to dispose of quite a few chickens, couple bottles of wine, some salads, fruit, vegetables. Every meal was an event. Now that's going to cost money. Who do you think is going to pay for that? Well, obviously it's the tax collectors, or the taxpayers, excuse me. Louis controls the nobility. Now we just saw he did a good job doing that. Louis controls the nobility. Acknowledging of nobility or snubbing them determined if they succeeded or failed. He would either acknowledge them, good morning, monsieur, or he would snub them. In that, when he did that, it kind of cheesed them off, but they wondered, gosh, am I in or am I out? Nobles were required to live with Louis at his palace of Versailles. Nobles were required to live with Louis at his palace of Versailles. I think of the old saying, keep your friends close, your enemies closer. Versailles, V-E-R-S-A-I-L-L-E-S. V-E-R-S-A-I-L-L-E-S. Well, we're about at the end here, and we're going to finish up by taking a look at this beautiful Palace of Versailles the next time. This is Mr. K's 21.2b signing off.